Israel was once a land flowing with milk and honey. God had blessed his people. But the Israelites forgot God. They turned away from him. They worshipped idols. This angered God. He allowed enemies to invade the land. The Midianites were cruel and relentless. Imagine locusts. They swept across the land. They devoured everything in sight. The Israelites were helpless. They had to hide in caves. They lived in fear. The Midianites stole their crops. They took their livestock. The Israelites felt hopeless. Their spirits were crushed. They cried out to God. They needed a savior. Gideon was a young man from the tribe of Manasseh. He was hiding. He was threshing wheat in a winepress. He was trying to avoid the Midianites. He felt alone and afraid. Suddenly an angel appeared before Gideon. The angel said, "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior." Gideon was confused. He felt anything but mighty. He questioned the angel. "If the Lord is with us," Gideon asked, "why has this happened to us? Where are all his miracles?" The angel smiled. He knew Gideon's heart. He said, "Go in the strength you have. You will save Israel from the Midianites. I am sending you." Gideon was stunned. Save Israel? He was just a farmer. He was the least in his family. "How can I save Israel?" Gideon asked. "My clan is the weakest in Manasseh. I am the least in my family." Gideon was afraid. He needed reassurance. He asked for a sign. He laid out a fleece on the ground. He asked God to make the fleece wet with dew, but keep the ground dry. God did this for Gideon. Gideon was still afraid. He asked for another sign. This time he asked God to keep the fleece dry while the ground around it became wet. Again, God answered Gideon's request. He was patient with Gideon. He understood his fear. Gideon's father, Joash, had an altar to Baal. Baal was a false god. Many Israelites worshipped Baal. God told Gideon to destroy the altar. He was also to cut down the Asherah pole beside it. This was dangerous. The people of the town would be angry. But Gideon was determined to obey God. He gathered 10 servants. They worked at night. They tore down the altar. They cut down the Asherah pole. They built an altar to the Lord in its place. The next morning, the people were furious. They wanted to kill Gideon, but Joash defended his son. He said, "If Baal is a real god, let him defend himself." From that day on, Gideon was called Jerubbaal, which means "let Baal contend with him." Section 5. Fleece of Faith, seeking confirmation from above. Word spread about Gideon's courage. People from other tribes joined him. They were tired of the Midianites. They were ready to fight. Gideon had gathered a large army, but God had other plans. God spoke to Gideon. He said, "You have too many warriors. If you defeat the Midianites with this army, you will become proud. You will think you did it on your own. I will show you who to keep." God instructed Gideon to offer a choice. He told him to let anyone who was afraid go home. Many warriors were afraid. They left the army. God then told Gideon to take the remaining men to the water. He would show Gideon who to keep. Section 6. Too many warriors, God's surprising strategy. Gideon took his men to the water. They were thirsty. They drank from the water. God told Gideon to watch how they drank. Some of the men put their faces in the water. They drank greedily. Other men cupped their hands. They lapped the water like dogs. God said to Gideon, "Keep the men who lapped the water like dogs. Send the others home." Gideon was amazed. Only 300 men lapped the water like dogs. Gideon must have been scared. He only had 300 men. The Midianite army was huge, but God was with him. He would give Gideon victory. Section 7. Trumpets, jars, and torches. The battle cry at midnight. Gideon and his men crept close to the Midianite camp. It was night. The Midianites were sleeping. They felt safe. They had no idea what was coming. God told Gideon to give each man a trumpet and a clay jar. Inside each jar he placed a burning torch. Gideon whispered to his men, "Watch me. When I get to the edge of the camp, do what I do. When I blow the trumpet, you blow your trumpets. Smash your jars. Shout for the Lord and for Gideon." Gideon and his men took their positions. Their hearts pounded with fear and excitement. The time had come. Now, Section 8. Victory from the jaws of defeat. The Midianites crumble. Gideon took a deep breath. He lifted his trumpet and blew a mighty blast. The sound echoed through the night. Immediately his 300 men smashed their jars. The light of the torches blazed, breaking the darkness. The men shouted, "For the Lord and for Gideon." The Midianites were terrified. They were awakened by the trumpets, the crashing jars, and the war cries. They panicked. In the confusion, they started attacking each other. Gideon and his men watched in amazement. God had thrown the Midianite army into confusion. The Israelites didn't have to fight. God had given them the victory. Section 9. Lessons from Gideon. Finding courage in the face of giants. Gideon's story is an inspiration to us all. It teaches us that even the most ordinary person can do extraordinary things when empowered by God. Gideon was afraid and doubtful, but he chose to trust God. We all face giants in our lives. They may be giants of fear, doubt, or insecurity. Like Gideon, we may feel inadequate and powerless. But we serve a mighty God. He can do amazing things through us if we are willing to step out in faith. Remember Gideon's fleece. God cares about our fears. He is patient with our doubts. He wants us to come to him and ask for his help. When we trust in God, even our greatest fears can be turned into victories. His power is made perfect in our weakness.